Raise your hand if you feel like you've been personally victimized by your own self or by the fear of being judged. We've all been there, and everyone has been judged and everyone has judged. And let me tell you, I am certainly the queen of being judged in my life, and I wanted to talk about it because I have had people come to me and ask me, how are you so confident? How do you just not give a fuck about what others think of you? How do you march to the beat of your own drum? And I can certainly tell you that this journey was not easy for me, and it took a lot of growth and self-reflection and a lot of challenges, especially mentally, so I could overcome judgment and truly embrace my authentic self and live my life unapologetically. I feel like this could have been a really good podcast episode when I was doing Shamelessly Unapologetic, but I decided, you know what, we're going to do it as a video because I'm no longer uploading podcast content anymore. I think this is an important message that I wanted to share with everyone, just tell you a little bit about my story, what I was judged on, and kind of some things that I did that helped me, and then hopefully it will help you too along the way. So make sure you go ahead and stick around so you can find out how I overcame it. I've talked about getting bullied on my channel before, how it's definitely traumatized me emotionally and mentally. I have definitely overcome so much growing up, but for me, I really wanted to just give you a little bit of backstory on all the times where being judged has really impacted me the most and what I wanted to do about it. So growing up, I was always judged, but I think I was always judged the most once I got into elementary school. And I've always experienced a lot of judgment from my family, but we'll get into that in a little bit. When I switched to a public school in first grade, I was pretty much the only Jewish person in my class. I felt out of place, I felt like an outcast, and I was judged for not being a Christian and celebrating Christmas. I also grew up in a pretty white area where I lived with a lot of entitled people and families. So if it wasn't considered normal, which being Jewish, mind you, is perfectly normal, but they weren't used to that. And there just weren't a lot of Jewish kids in my school district. It definitely certainly made me feel bad about being Jewish, which I should never ever have to feel. I also experienced a lot of mental health issues as I progressed in elementary school. I mean, guys, I once thought I was a horse. Yeah, we won't talk about it, but I was made fun of, I was judged, teachers even judged me. Some people expressed concern and wanted to help me, but I just felt like I was being judged, and I was just being a silly little girl who was just having fun, but they took it as something very serious. They made it way more serious than what it needed to be. Always experiencing judgment. Then once I get into middle school, it becomes a lot worse. I'm labeled as this geek or a dork. I was always getting bullied, always getting made fun of. Boys judged me for how ugly I looked. I'll never understand that one and their delusion. And it definitely repeated into high school. I just felt like I couldn't win. And then once I got into college, I was finally able to break free from all of that. And then I got into a sorority, and I felt like I had to be somebody that I wasn't. Now, not in the way that you think. I mean, I was still very much myself in my sorority. I was still very opinionated and loud, but I always got in trouble for it. And there were so many times where exec members would send me text messages saying you need to watch what you say, or you need to not do this, you're being disrespectful, blah, 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 blah. I felt like I had to be this preppy Southern sorority girl who had to be very well-mannered just to make the sorority look good, because my sorority cared so much about their image. Oh my goodness. They were batshit insane about it, mind you. Sometimes I felt like I had to mask who I was, but I was never gonna not speak up about something that truly bothered me. And, I just had to deal with the consequences of getting in trouble, and that really sucked. I want to say that most people in my sorority don't even really follow me on social media anymore. They don't care for my content. And it wouldn't surprise me that they just don't resonate with my message at all. And they probably don't believe in like living authentically and being outspoken and opinionated, because most of them aren't really like me at all. I think that sucks. I think that's sad. I feel like more people should be more outspoken and should be their unapologetic self. It's like people from Virginia who struggle with this, and of course I'm just making some stupid generalization, but I'm just saying this from my own perspective and my own lens and just me observing that all the people that I've been surrounded with in Virginia just simply don't really have any sense of individuality. That's just, again, allegedly my opinion. Chill out. And I'm sure people are like, well, why are you judging people for a lack of individuality? Well, I think that's a bad thing. I think everyone should be their own person. I feel like we shouldn't be conforming to one society. We shouldn't be putting people in a box. I don't really think that's judging. I think that's me just stating my opinion. People need to have a sense of individuality because that helps them grow as a person. And I want to see people grow and become better human beings and to transform. I do care about that. Even if I don't know them, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting people to better themselves and to find out who they really are. Once I finally left the East Coast for the West Coast, especially once I moved to San Francisco, I was finally able to break free. It was just really nice to unlearn a lot of things about how to just overcome judgment, how to just not give a fuck, how to own who I am. My transformation and my healing, I owe it all to like moving to San Francisco. That was one of the best things I could have ever done for myself. If you have the privilege and the means to do so, to move to a new city that you feel like isn't gonna suffocate you like the whole state of Virginia and the South did for me, then I think that could be a really great opportunity to start fresh, to start over. Nobody's gonna really know who you are. They don't know your existence. They don't know your backstory. You get to be you. I also found a city that was more accepting and comforting. Like, San Francisco is a very weird place. There's a lot of quirks. There's a lot of crazy things there. You know, it's never a dull moment when it comes to San Francisco. And it's never a dull moment when it comes to Portland either, which is where I currently live. And I feel like that really gave me the push that I needed to really find myself, to start just being me and myself in public and truly just not giving a fuck. So let's go into my confidence glow up and how I overcame that judgment. Remember when I talked about how my family really judged me? Having to get away from my family was going to be big for me, right? And I feel like being in San Francisco, I don't know if it was something about the energy there, but it really taught me to stand up to my family more, because my family, especially my mom and my sister, were always judging me for like my choices, which weren't even bad choices, my sense of style, my just outspoken personality. I will say they weren't very judgmental when I dyed my hair purple, which I was very surprised about. But my mom has always been very judgy. I just felt like I could never make my mom happy or please her in any way. She didn't like that I always went against the norm. And that also made my sister uncomfortable too. It made both of them really uncomfortable. And I couldn't understand why. And I think it came down to jealousy. I think my mom has always been really jealous of me because I'm living the life that she probably didn't get to live. It's fine. I mean, it's gotten a lot better over the years between me and her. But with being in San Francisco, as I mentioned, very accepting place, I just found just more opportunities for myself, more things for self-discovery, and getting more comfortable with doing things by myself. That was a really great place for me to tap into that. So I used to be really insecure about going out in public and eating by myself because people would think I'm like this lonely, friendless loser. Nobody cares if I'm eating by myself. I don't know why I used to think this. I think it's because I was so traumatized by the people who always told me that I was a friendless loser, and if people saw me sitting by myself somewhere, they would make fun of me for it because they're projecting their own insecurities onto me because they don't want to be the one sitting alone, so therefore I'm the weird one for doing that, right? That's pretty much how it went. So being able to do things by myself, San Francisco gave me that push. I realized like it's perfectly okay to do things on your own and to be out in public by yourself. I started to get a little bit edgier with my style. It wasn't as edgy and alternative as it is now, But it was a small little baby start, and I started to slowly fix my sense of style once I got there. Not that I did that for society, I did that for myself because, again, I wanted to be my authentic self, express who I am. Also, doing YouTube was a big thing for me in helping me overcome judgment. It is not easy to get vulnerable and put yourself out there on the internet for the world to see. And you're gonna get a lot of negativity and hate faced your way, and that really helped me grow a bit of a thick skin because most of the hate comments that I get are really petty and stupid, or they're just downright misogynistic. I have been fortunate enough to get more positive comments than negative or mean, but people are gonna judge you when you put yourself on the internet, and that usually comes from their own personal fears that they're gonna get judged if they were to do the exact same thing that you were doing, or they just feel like they don't need to put themselves out there on the internet, so why should you?
Some things aren't best to put on the internet, so therefore you shouldn't have to do it.
Please, screw that. I can do whatever I want. So YouTube has really helped me with that in terms of just not caring what other people are going to think, because I know that the message that I am putting out into the universe, whatever it may be, is going to help somebody positively. And for me, that's what's really important. Also, at the end of the day, I've realized that as I've gotten older, some things just genuinely don't matter as they once did. Like, I remember when I was in middle school, I cared so much about, like, wanting to fit in and, like, trying to be popular, wanting the popular people to like me. And it's wild that I cared about that so much when literally popularity, like how popular you were in school, literally does not matter after you graduate. I mean, it shouldn't have never really mattered while you were in school to begin with, but like, if somebody is still like reliving their glory days on like how popular they were in middle school or high school, that is called peaking, and it's not cute. Nobody likes somebody that peaked in high school. Things like that just shouldn't matter. People's opinions of you, when it's their own internal self projecting onto you, it shouldn't matter, and I just stopped giving a fuck. Also, Lexapro, which is an anxiety medication, really helped me not give a fuck even more. Oh my god, sometimes I just don't even have the care in the world to think about who is judging me. Not everybody has anxiety, nor they need to take medication, but that was something that also helped me. Judgment is both an internal and external thing that is just simply very ugly. I feel like those were a lot of things that I learned, and now I want to share some things that can hopefully help you too when it comes to overcoming judgment and learning to be your most authentic self. I think it's really important, the first thing is to understand, like, why are you trying to find your authentic self? I know that might sound silly, but if you really think about it, what is it that's preventing you from being authentic, or what motivated you for you to finally want to be your authentic self and to overcome the judgment of what people are going to think? I think it's important to know your why, because if there's something that has officially made you fed up in life and you're ready to like push that to the side and remove it out of your life, that can be that motivation. That is your why. So think about, what is it that's going to push you and motivate you to finally figure out, like, why am I finally taking this step to do this? That's going to be the first thing. And for me, that's what I had to do. And again, I had that whole self-realization and just journey of personal growth when I was living in California. And I realized I was truly not being myself. This is who I am, and I need to show people that. And if they don't like it, then that's too damn bad. Your inner self is going to be your worst critic, and I feel like we have judged ourselves way more than other people have judged us. And that was one thing that helped me, was starting to journal more, do shadow work, and to write down gratitude and positive affirmations. Those were a lot of things that started to make me feel better about myself. And what's interesting is that I didn't start like the journaling and the positive affirmations and the gratitude until 2021, which was not that long ago. But it was another step for me in my journey of just embracing my authentic self and overcoming judgment and saying good things about myself, which helps me feel good about myself. And it allows me to have that ingrained into my brain. So the more that I believe it, the more true that it becomes. And just remember, this is something that is not going to happen overnight. Start with something small, whether if it's how you want to change your hair or your personal style, or maybe it's something that's deeper within yourself. Pick one thing that you want to focus on first and take that element and focus on it. If it's something beyond your physical appearance or your sense of style, or if it's not your mental health, but maybe it's something where you just want to get yourself out there and learn how to take on the world, whatever that element is that you want to focus on to help you overcome judgment, or also to help you like embrace your most authentic self that's going to make you you. Focus on that one thing and then slowly build your way up there. For me, I kind of started with something vanity in terms of my clothes, but you know what? Wearing the right things that allowed me to express myself and make me feel like a badass who doesn't give a fuck about what other people think, that did help. And I do think like having your own sense of style and individuality can really help with that. I have talked about this on so many of my podcast episodes, but it is so important to find the group of people that you are going to mesh with, who are going to support you and not be judgy. Find people where you feel like you can be your most comfortable self with. They don't even need to be like the same type of person as you. You just need to be around people who are going to support you no matter how different their life is to yours, because they are not going to judge you for your choices. They may not want the same things that you want in life, but that doesn't mean that they're not gonna cheer you on. So I know that may sound obvious, but some people tend to choose the wrong friend groups all the time, especially when we're young and when we're teenagers. We fall into the wrong crowd all the time. We have to pretend to be someone that we're not. So it's really important that you find people that you can be your most full, authentic self around, because if you are surrounding yourselves with the wrong crowd, there's a good chance that they may not like you, and it's going to open yourself up to feeling insecure, and it's going to allow you to have judgment overcome you, which we don't want. So when I was able to finally move away, like I think college was a really good place for me to start that and to find no fake friends, because I had a lot of those growing up. You just will feel so much better about yourself. And in order to overcome judgment, you have to get comfortable with being vulnerable. As I mentioned earlier, putting myself out on the internet and sharing a lot of parts of my life story out there that people probably don't need to know about, but I'm the queen of oversharing, and honestly, I'm okay with that. Some people are like,
oh, I hate oversharing, or I hate when others overshare, blah, 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 blah.
Judgy Judy this, Judgy Judy that. I don't care, because the more you become vulnerable, the stronger you become as a person, and the more that your voice is heard. And I believe that allows you to mentally grow as a person to where you're no longer going to care about this judgment, and that you shouldn't let anybody stop you. You're sharing your truth. And that's basically what had motivated me to start my podcast in the first place. My podcast is the most vulnerable thing that I have put out on the internet, and it's still up for people to listen to. And I'm not sorry about what I've posted, because it's my truth, it's my story, and I'm gonna live my life authentically. And you should too. Those are kind of my opinions on how to overcome that judgment, how to be your most authentic self, and to grow your confidence. And when you do that, and you can hopefully take some of the advice that I shared with you, again, based off my own personal experience, everything that I said here may not work for you. If there are other things that have worked for you to help you overcome judgment and allow you to live your most authentic self, comment down below, because I'd love to hear your story and what's helped you, in hopes that it also helps others watching this too. And if you like this video and it helped you, do make sure you give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos, as I am now uploading on Tuesdays, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!